Welcome back. If you were here yesterday, you saw me out in the other studio making a warp for 12 tea towels. And today we brought that warp into the house. All of the looms in the studio are tied up with projects for the online guild, so we couldn't do this live blast there. So we're here, and this is the very first spring loom I ever got. My mom bought this for me 34 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child, Eben. Anyway, it's still going strong, and I'm going to dress this little girl today. So I'm going to come to the other side, and here we are at the back beam, at the thread beam. This is what I call the warp, or the apron rod, and this is what I call the warp rod, and it holds the warp. So you can see this warp, the cross was tied nice and tight, so I know exactly where my cross is, and I have the apron rod attached at the ends to the warp rod using these cool little pieces of Texol cord. So they're just little, maybe 5-6 inches of Texol cord. Here, I'll take one off and show you. Just a little piece. Yeah, 5 inches. Anyway, you take one end, put it through the other end, which gives you a loop. Slide that on. And then I'll put the warp on. Super easy, we know where it is. These were the last two ends on the peg, so they go on too. And now I just slide that into one of the holes in the Texol, and I know it's exactly the same distance on both ends because the holes on the Texol are exactly the same distance apart all the way along. There's a hole every centimeter. So we got that on. The next thing I'm going to do is put my leaf sticks in. So one leaf stick goes on one side of the cross. The other leaf stick goes on the other side of the cross. And then I attach the leaf sticks from the castle to the thread beam using these two little cords that are attached on the side. Now these are just pieces of seine twine. They're pretty old and dog-eared here, but they still work. So I come up, and then I come up with one end. And the other end, I'm going to go down and down. And what that does is it puts a cross between my leaf sticks. I really should have got a better piece of string for this. Normally I put up with all this stuff myself and not worry about it, but seeing I'm on camera, I should have done a better job. Anyway, there we go. It's all right. All okay. There you go. Well, what the heck did I do? Okay, when this happens, do you start over? So this guy is coming down, and so he has to come down through here. Down and down with one side, up and up with the other. And don't use tattered old string. That's your lesson. There we go. Perfect. And I'm going to wrap it around here a couple of times. Next warp, I promise, I'll change that cord. So same thing over on this side. How did this one, this is a newer cord. This one is nicer. So here we go. I'll do down and down through the holes. And then the other one, I'm going to come up and up. Up through the hole. And up through the hole. And what that gives me is a cross between the two leaf sticks. There's a cross there. That down and down and up and up. The reason I do it gives me that cross. And that prevents the leaf sticks from going on top of each other. Then I wrap it around here a couple of times, get it nice and snug. And I'm ready to take the cross ties out. So here are the ties that held my cross. They're nice big bows. There we go. Now I'm going to spread this out. So this here is the rattle on Luette looms. They're built in across the top, so we warp over the loom, we beam over the loom, and then we take it out of the rattle and drop it down here to thread. So I have a piece of paper here for the warp to sit on so that nothing gets caught inside because it's so fine. And now this is ready to spread. One of the reasons that I didn't put little cinch ties in and count off my cross all the way yesterday is because this rattle is so fine and all my looms have it. There's 5 slots in every inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's basically like a 5-dent reed. And this is going on at 20 ends per inch. So that means I need to put four threads in every one of these slots. 4 times 5 is 20. And everything will be perfect. So it's really easy to look down here and see all of those threads coming off the cross in their little bundles. Now, I would never have tied 4 and 4 and 4 and done one of those running things. It would have driven me insane. So there's my first 4. And all I have to do is find out, this is, how wide is this baby? This baby is, let me see, where's my notes? Well, heck, I know where it is. Here. Don't have that number on this piece of paper. Well, geez, can you believe this? This is time for me to look like a total idiot online and have to do some math. And when I have to do math in front of anybody, I get really nervous because I'm one of those math challenged human beings, believe it or not. Anyway, you just go get a cup of tea or something. Just don't you mind me. I had 30 and 30 and 156 and 156 and 100, 6, 12, 3, 6, 7, 17, 472 divided by 20. So this is like 26 inches wide. Okay, that was fast and easy. 26 inches wide. So I have marked here on my loom the center, and I'm going to go 13 inches over, which is right to here. And I always just do that and stick my measuring tape in there. So that's where I know the very first batch of threads have to go. So I'll do this, take them over here, and there's my first 4 in that slot. And once they're in, I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I am bringing my cheat sheet back. It was ever so helpful. There. So now we know that this is 13 inches over from center. The warp is 26, so it's going to be spread out from there to there. And now it's super easy to access all of those threads from the cross because we need them in 4s, 4 threads. There's 2 and 2. So they just come over whoosh, and go in. The next batch. So this is as fast as me having to have tied all those little groups and then untied all those little groups. I love this rattle because it just makes everything go on so perfectly and beautifully and evenly. And it won't take very long to get this all set up. Maybe 10-15 minutes, so bear with me. Okay, now this section here, this next section, I warped with 4 threads in my hand at a time. So that's really easy. I just take those 4 and bring them across and put half in one and half in the other. The important thing when you're spreading threads in a rattle and you've warped with groups like this is you never split the bundles. They all have to stay together in a happy little family. So you can see how easy it is to see them come up. And then I just put those there and those there. Remember when you're spreading out in the rattle just helps you wind your warp on to the right width or approximate right width. If it's out a little bit, it's not going to make any difference. So I don't fuss too much with all this stuff. It's pretty accurate, but if it's an inch narrower or an inch wider, I'm not going to redo it because of that. I know that won't affect anything. So this rattle is metric. So I counted 5 in an inch, but it is a metric rattle. And over 3 to 4 inches, you get an extra slot. So every now and then I leave an empty one. I should have left an empty one before now, but I'll leave one now because I just didn't think about it. Doesn't matter. Like I said, the rattle has nothing to do with structure. It only has to do with getting things spread out nice and evenly. And look at how beautifully this gets spread out. I love blue wet rattles. The cross is such a lovely gift. It gives you everything in the order that it was put on. The warping board or the warping mill. I'll leave another empty space just because I should have left one before. Gosh, I hope I did that math right. This is kind of center. I don't know. Fingers crossed for me. I'm laughing to myself because I don't usually do anything live because I make so many mistakes in my life that I don't like people to see how many mistakes I make, you know. However, it's good. We're all human. Some more than others. I'm in that category. The real human category. Okay. I'll leave a couple more spaces because I think I need them. But I sure wouldn't go backwards and fuss with this. That kind of looks even. Now I'll go back to that other pattern. Back to my groups of 4. So you can see this goes pretty darn quick. Elizabeth is holding this camera, this little phone. I hope her hands are okay. She smiled at me, so I think she's okay. Okie dokie, almost there. 2, 4. So let's measure this. And if the goddess is on my side today, this is about 26 inches wide. Please, please be on my side. Look at that. It's 25 3/4. So that's excellent. All right, so it's all spread out in the rattle. I don't want anything to pop out of this rattle, so I'm gonna just take a piece of string and wrap around the top. I'll get one. Just anything to keep it in there. I'll just do a big loop-de-doo there. Should any small child come by and think they need to play with your warp on the other side, this will keep it in its space. I only say that because it's happened to me. All right, so now I have to do something between this apron rod and the rod that's holding the warp to prevent this from bowing. I don't want any bowing. So I have another cord here that is just lashed on, and I'm going to just run that through, not in any fancy order, like I'm not counting anything. I'm just putting a little lashing in, which will prevent any bowing. When we get to the end of the warp. Everything's nice and straight. There. So this warp is totally ready to get beamed on. I'm going to wind on with paper here, and we're going to just do a little reposition of the room. We have to move the loom back so Elizabeth can go to the other side, and you're going to watch how I weight it with books and how I wind on. And she'll move around a little bit, but at this moment we're going to just do a little shift-a-rooney. So I guess we can just keep rolling, I don't know. Alright, so this is a normal size bedroom. It's a small size room. There's nothing in here except 2 looms and a bunch of my junk. Can you see outside my big field? I don't know, Elizabeth. Can you? That's what I can look out at. There's a little bird down on the arbor. And this is the other side I look out at when I'm in the house weaving. That's my garden way down there, my chicken coop. And way, way over there you can see the studio. Point towards the studio. Yeah, it's over there. Cool, huh? Alrighty, so here's that warp. Look at this beautiful warp. The first thing I'm going to do before I start to beam this warp is I'm going to find a spot where nothing in the warp chain has been disturbed. I know that this is pristine. And I'm going to give this warp, see all that mess over there? I'm going to get, whoops, I'm going to take the scissors off the loom and I'm going to get rid of all that mess. And I'm just not going to touch it or mess with it. I'm going to give it a real good pull. All right, and I'm going to lay it down on the floor. Now, I am lucky that I can come out sort of into this other anti-room here and lessen the angle on that warp. And then at this point, I have a stack of books, Material Wealth, William Morris, and John Gillow's Indian Textiles. And they are going to help me weight that sucker. I want this right smack dab in the middle, not off to the side. And yes, it's going to run across my floor, and it won't hurt it. So now I'm going to start winding on. I'm all ready to wind on. With this loom, all I have to do is lift up on the handle and start beaming. And you can see it's going to start moving forward. This is so beautifully laid out here. As soon as it goes around and catches there, catches on the first roll, then I start to put my paper in. Just a big roll of paper, I fold it over the edge so I know it's nice and straight. And, oh shit, it's, the warp is wider. Oh, I think I swore live. Okay, hold on. Normally, I'd be prepared for these things. I have wider paper here. Why did this paper? too wide. Oh, it's gonna work. Okay, here we go. I don't think this is gonna be long enough, so I might have to break and go over to the studio and get another piece of paper. But it goes in there and I get it as straight as I possibly can, like so. And then you pray to the weaving paper goddess and start winding. And assisting to make sure it's nice and straight. And sometimes it doesn't go straight, so I stop and pull off and fix it, straighten it. My books are moving forward. Pretty soon I have to move my books back. This is my extension cord for my light. Okay, so the books have now come here. It's time to move them. Nothing is shifting in this warp because we're not messing with it, and because, well, the only thing we're doing is picking up dirt off the floor. But because that warp was made where all the threads were exactly the same length yesterday, I don't have to fart around with it at all. I have to make sure it's nice and straight. Put my books on. Beautifully it moves through here. I know that this is not going to be a problem. It'll all just come out. I know that. Oh, my books. They're coming. Give it a good tug, but don't play with it. If you've made a good warp. If you haven't made a good warp, then you got to do those things. Here's the end of that roll of paper. I got quite a bit of tension on this warp, which is why I'm not really pulling on anything, because it's really hard for me to turn it. Hope this works. Sometimes I see it starting to come over, so I just give it a gentle push. I can tell the bugs are real close. go get some more paper from the studio because I don't have any more wide stuff. So I'm going to take a little break and I'll be back in like 5 minutes. All right. Come back here. Okay. This piece doesn't have a fold in it, so I'm folding it down. I have to do it really straight when I put it in. Oh, there it had a fold there in the past. You make sure this is super straight when you put it in. It stays straight. If it's not straight when you put it in, it makes your life a little unhappier. Hopefully we got that. Okay. It's a little narrower than the other one, doesn't matter. Almost at the end. They're heavy, especially when they get up close. So look at this. We're coming to the end of that 13-yard warp. And nothing is shifted because that warp, everything was the same length. Look at that. That's what we want. And that's how I know we had a good warp. Gotcha. Not exactly in the middle. You always want to make sure this is right in the middle. If it's not in the middle, it doesn't go on straight. Second it's gonna pop out. It's popped out. So I'm gonna wind this last little bit without tension. I don't have a choice because I'm Elizabeth's busy. Elizabeth, scan across the top there. I can see how nice this tension is. And right at the end, you know, we're gonna have a tiny little angle right here. That angle is the angle that was forming on the dowel as the yarn came around the corner. There was a natural build-up. This is where we started, this is where we ended, and it built out on an edge. That kind of an angle is just fine. It's when you have a warp wound on, and this is really short and this is really long, then you know you've got some tension issues in there. Okay, I always take it just to about here. One more little wind. Then I cut it. Scissors, they fell on the floor. So I just sort of use that as my ruler, the edge of the shelf. Voila. Get all that a little straighter later. Those are a little longer just because of the angle coming like this. But that's it. That's all we've lost for loom loss on that 13. It was actually 13.5 yards. So now I'm going to take it out of the rattle. And that little string I put on, I just cut. Wait a minute, you don't want to cut the wrong thing. Hold on, install your glasses, Jane. Okay, here we go. There it is. That comes off. And now, all I do is I pop everything out of the rattle, drop it down here, and I'm ready to thread. There. And the beauty of having your leaf sticks strung like this is that I want to have access to this cross when I'm threading, and I can pull this close right into me, really, really close, and I'll be able to see all of that stuff up the front. So, if you come to the front, Elizabeth, I'll do one more thing before we take a break. So on this loom, the breast beam pops off, like so. By the way, this is my very first loom ever. My Fanny that I bought in 1978. And it's woven a million mohair babies. Okay, this is so great. You can see that we can just pull all this through here. And I'm going to pull a chair in. And I'm going to thread right inside this loom. It'll be comfy, easy on the back. And I'll be able to see my cross because I'm going to be right here. All right, but it's coffee break time. So, oh, I'm touching my face. Sorry. We'll be back.